Hello students, this problem might seem intimidating if you see this question and try to solve it right away using integration etc. But believe me, this question is going to be much simpler if you can see through the symmetry of this problem, right? So the original question that the inspiration I found from is from Pathfinder, right? None other than the Pathfinder. In the original question, instead of this inner or the smaller hemisphere, uh, uniformly charged hemisphere, it was actually a thin hemispherical shell of a smaller radius, small r, and there was no angle that is given in this question. So this 30-degree angle in the original question was given as 0 degree. But after solving that, when I got through that, when I solved it, I got to know that it will not matter, right? So of course now you have the idea, and if you want to give this question a try, you can. Right, now let's move on to the solution part of this question. In all such questions where just by duplicating a given system you can create a symmetrical pattern, you should try to do that first, right? So here if I just duplicate the left bigger hemisphere, and if I just put in place such that this these two hemisphere will make a complete sphere, right? So after doing that, if I do that, and this, instead of outer hemisphere of radius capital R, we have now just glued two such hemisphere and made this a complete sphere. And in that case we already know that the net force on any of the charge inside this bigger hemisphere will be zero, because the net electric field due to this uniformly charged thin hemisphere is actually going to be zero, right? So now let's use that. Okay, so here if you see that I have not only duplicated this outer hemisphere, I have also made or glued this inner hemisphere and made this a full sphere, right? Uniformly charged full sphere, right? So now let's focus on just a point part of this hemisphere. Let's say we have considered this part here, and let's say this is a point mass, right? On this point mass, if you try to see that what are going to be the forces applied by the left bigger hemisphere, this part, and the right bigger hemispherical shell, right? So you can say that the net force is going to be zero, because this is complete spherical shell, and inside point has no electric field, no net electric field. So of course the force applied by left hemisphere is, let's say, F. And we can also say that force applied by this right side of that right hemisphere will also be equal to F, and it will be towards the leftward direction. Using the Newton's third law, we can also say that this point, small tiny point charge, will apply the same amount of force, capital F, in the opposite direction on this left hemisphere part, right? So it will apply some, let's say, F force. Similarly, this point charge will also apply F force on the right hand side, right? So if I just start taking these point charges symmetrical to that, right? If I take another point charge symmetrical to that just here, you can see here that the symmetry is not actually void. So you can see here that this uh, this left part and this right part is actually applying the same forces on this point mass here, right? Sorry, point charge here. Similarly, if I extend the same argument, and if I add up all the forces vectorially that were acting on this total hemisphere, this inner hemisphere, and let's say the total force is going to be Ft by the left hemisphere, we can say the same amount of force in the opposite direction will be applied by this hemisphere on this left turn left part of sorry, not left one, left part of this thin hemisphere, right? And just, if you can see the symmetry of that, if I just flip this inner hemisphere by 180 degree, what we are getting is this part of the hemisphere, right? So let me rub this all off. So you can see that this part here is exactly identical for this bigger left and right hemispheres. The symmetry is exactly the same, right? So we can say that this part here will apply the same force Ft, right? So now if I just add these two inner spheres, if I am considering that these two hemispheres are there, so they will apply twice the amount of force that only this half hemisphere will apply, right? So now let's come back to the question. What we had to determine was the force applied by this part here, this right small hemisphere, on this left bigger sphere. But now we have seen that this total inner sphere will apply exactly the twice amount of force, right? And you can see here that this, when the this inner hemisphere is complete, we can very easily calculate the electric field intensity at the outside point, because for the outside point, for uniformly charged sphere, whether it is thin or distributed on all volume, uh, it can be considered as a point charge kept at the center, right? So here on this hemisphere the charge was q, on this left hemisphere the charge is q, so we can consider the total charge 2q that is kept at the center, and this 2q charge will apply 2 times of the force that will be applied by only one part of the sphere, right? So we have to determine only the force applied by one part. So instead of keeping the 2q charge at the center, we can just say that only q charge is at the center, and because of this q charge that is kept at the center, we have to determine on this left hemispherical shell what is the force, right? So this situation will become something like that, right? So instead of a sphere, we can, since the field has to be calculated at outside point, you can say that the charge is actually at this point here, right? At the center point. Now how can we determine this part? And this is going to be actually very easy. You can use the integration also, that is not very difficult. But let us see one another method here, that let's consider a very small area, right? A very small area on the surface of this spherical shell, right? And let's take the area as ds, right? And on this area the electric field is going to be normally outward, radially outward, and its intensity is going to be same everywhere at the surface. E is going to be equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught small q by capital R square, right? So this is the electric field. Now let's see here. I'm redrawing this area, very small area. Let's call this very small area dA, right? Perpendicular to this area there is electric field, and let's say on this very tiny part of area the force acting is dF, right? How much is this dF going to be? dF is going to be the charge on this area dq, that can be written as charge density sigma multiplied by area dA multiplied by electric field, right? So let us say this area is actually making some angle theta with the horizontal, right? So this area vector will be going to make the same angle theta with the vertical because it is perpendicular to the area, right? What we know because of the symmetry, that the net force on this hemisphere is going to be towards the left. Let us consider the left direction as x direction. So we are only interested in determining the x component of this small force dF, right? So in this direction the x component is, let's say, dfx, right? So how much is it going to be? dfx is going to be df sine theta, right? So we can just substitute the value of df here. That will be sigma e dA sine theta. dA sine theta. Now just look at this area, right? Let me redraw it. So this is the area. This angle is actually theta. Now if I take the projection of this area on a vertical plane, right? So let me take this vertical plane here. So this is the vertical plane I'm making, and the projection of this area on the vertical plane is going to be just, you can see this in this right angle triangle, this projection in the vertical plane, let me call that DAP, is going to be dA sine theta, right? So instead of dA sine theta, we can write it as DAP, right? So this dF x is going to be equal to sigma E DAP, right? Now we have to just add all the forces. Since all the forces are in same direction, we can just integrate that. So the net force F along the x direction is going to be sigma and E. All of them are constant. We just have to integrate the projection area, and we know that if we take the projection of this hemisphere in the vertical plane, it is going to be this much, right? It is going to be this circular plane, right? So it is going to be equal to sigma E into pi r square. Now let us substitute all the values. Sigma is going to be the total charge q that is distributed over one hemisphere, that is 2 pi capital R square, multiplied by value of E is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught small q by capital R square multiplied by pi r square. You can just cancel all of that and you will get the net force is going to be equal to capital Q small q by 8 pi epsilon naught r square, and that is going to be our answer. And one more thing, I would also like to urge you that can you make any generalization of such cases? So you can probably think on your own. I'm going to just tell you one thing, that whenever we are taking something at the center, around the center, uh, it may be a point charge, it may be a hemispherical shell, it may be this solid hemispherical shell, it whatever the angle it is, or even you can take the charge distribution to be not uniform, but it should be radially symmetrical, right? So even if the charge distribution is radially symmetrical about the center, the result is going to be same. But I would like you to give one more thing to think on your own. What if instead of this hemisphere, what if I had given you this half part of the hemisphere, right? So you can now think of on your own that instead of this hemisphere, if I would have given you this quarter part of the sphere kept at the center in the similar situation, would the answer be same, or you will not be able to use that? That is what I would like you to urge to think on your own.